And welcome to tonight's edition of Winter and the Mailman in transition. You can't say it's transition by looking outside, but transitioning from winter sports to spring sports. We're coming into tonight with first-year head coach Mike Burda of the Scottsbluff track and field team. And since basketball's over in Scottsbluff. That's too bad. I mean, we just got done talking a little bit about that. But now it's time to focus on the spring sports, and track and field is front and center. And Coach, as your first year, I know you've been a part of this track and field team for quite a while. Always had a great bunch of kids out there. What's it looking like this year?
Yeah, and this year I'm the girls' head coach. Coach Auberg's still the boys' head coach.
Right.
So on the girls' side of it, things are looking good. We have a lot of kids out this year. Have some good competitors coming back. Some state placers from last year coming back. So across the board, we should be pretty deep and should see some success.
So what was the decision to move from obviously an assistant to
coach? We wanted to switch some things up. Coach Auberg's involved in a lot of stuff at the high school, so time's really important for him. So we wanted to eliminate a little stress for him on that, so he could just focus on one side. So that was kind of the main decision, and the position opened up, and obviously I applied. Track's one of those things that I have always loved to do, and I'm just a coach at heart. So I coach 3 sports at the high school, and it was just a right place, right time, and I think it's a good fit for me.
Absolutely. And you talk about splitting the duties with Coach Auberg, and I know that Scottsbluff has tried that, one head coach to try and take over everything. And as it sounds, it may not sound that bad, but to have to be on one side or the other and be following around all these kids, there's so many things going on at one time, and you've got to track down however many kids you got out, and that's a tough deal.
Yeah, track's one of those sports that when you see the track meet going on, you don't really think there's a lot involved, but there's a lot involved to get those meets going, and we host quite a bit of things, and we have quite a few kids out, so it's and Coach Auberg and I work really well together, so it's a good fit for both of us. I'm learning a lot of stuff from him just because I'm kind of new to this, the organization part of it, but we work well together. So it's a good fit for, I think, the whole track program.
So looking at the preview you had sent me, it looks like you have a lot of girls on the team. So what's the depth look like?
Depth is good. We have Mariah coming back in the jumps. Obviously, that's another thing. I'm involved in girls athletics all year long. I just got
to do is out Mariah Field these days. I mean, come on.
I know. I get one more season with her. So,
yeah, no doubt.
She did a really good job last year and kind of shocked all of us going down state last year. She got 3rd in both, long in the triple. And to be honest with you, that wasn't expected. We knew she could probably get in the final, but she went down there, competed, and rose to the occasion. We've got Paige back in the hurdles. Being a sophomore, she's going to be a good one. She just has to continue to develop, and I think basketball and volleyball this year really helped her in that, just confidence-wise and kind of the mental part of it. And then Peyton's coming back in the mid-distance. She placed 6th last year in the quarter, and she's going to give the 800 a try this year. She's kind of built for it. So those 3 are 3 girls coming back at place, but we have depth, and we have Leah Polk in the vaults, who's really solid. We have Piper Rashawn, who's one of our throwers. She's developing really well. And then we've got a ton of kids, Marley Lockermer, Macy New. I've got a list of them. I know I'm going to miss some of them, but we have some depth and kind of all the across the track and field.
You just got some athletes out there. I mean, you can almost throw just anything at one of them and be like, hey, go do this, and probably do pretty well for you.
And that's kind of the luxury of being at Scottsbluff. We know that we have a lot of kids in the school, so and track's one of those things that we like to see those kids go out and just kind of showcase their talent, their speed and stuff that you don't really see sometimes in volleyball, and sometimes you see in basketball, sometimes you don't. So
yeah.
So what's it looking like with the freshmen then that are coming in?
Good. We've got a good, solid crop of freshmen coming in. A couple that maybe stick out. Margot Bowles is coming over from. She came over from Mitchell for us. She looks like she could be pretty steady for us. We have some other freshmen that are just trying to fill things out and giving track a try. We have some good newcomers, and I think our depth will help.
Track is something I couldn't do growing up. It's exciting with around here, just, you know, not just at Scottsbluff, but everywhere. You see a lot of kids that are, and what word am I looking for here? Excited. I mean, they're I can't even think of it.
Can't help you, because I don't know what you're thinking.
Track is definitely one of those things that's kind of a social sport. I mean, you gotta hang out with each other for 12 hours in bad weather sometimes, and, you know, it's one of those things that it's a tough sell sometimes, but once kids kind of go out for it, I think they start to like it a lot.
But yeah, that's the thing. I think that there's a lot more, the kids around here really gravitate toward it. I mean, you've got other things going on in the spring. You got soccer, you got, you know, whatever else. Golf, and you know, and of course the nicer weather comes around, so some of these kids, it might be tough to keep them focused on anything, but that's the one thing that I've noticed around here is how big of a sport. I can't for the first time in my life, the mailman can't find the word, but it's a big deal around here.
Yeah, and Scottsbluff has a huge tradition in track, and that's something that's really cool about it. When you look at the record board up there, we've had some kids come through here that are unreal.
I said watch it. Every time I go to a basketball game or something, I stand out there, you know, in between quarters or whatever, and I just look at that, and I just look at it in awe.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. So
we got any kids, you know, here now, maybe coming through that you might be seeing, maybe find a place on that board?
We have some kids that have potential in that. I know that, I know one that sticks out a lot, that Mariah's really going after that triple jump record, and that's something that she's kind of set up, and that's kind of an older record. We have some kids that can push for that, you know, but the main focus and something I'm trying to do this year is we have some kids that are, you know, higher level athletes that are going to be able to push for that. But we have a lot of kids out that, you know, just they're out to try and get the experience and just go out just to, you know, see how good they can do. You know, they don't know if, you know, we have some kids, not everyone's going to be able to push for those records. So that's a real focus of me this year, is just keeping those kids out just to keep them involved with competing. And, you know, we have some upper level athletes that'll be just fine, that will push for that.
Right.
You know, Paige was one of those kids that's determined to get better at the hurdles and stuff like that. But overall, yeah, we have some kids that can probably push for that.
You got to be happy with, you know, you talk about some of these kids that may not have gone out in the past, may not have gone out for one reason or another, but, you know, being a coach, you know, we all do it. I like to see them out there just because you know where they're at. And I mean, I'm not saying that they're going to be troublemakers or anything like that, but just having that in their lives, just having that void to fill, it produces, you know, great kids in the future.
And that's a huge focus, and I know all the coaches at Scottsbluff really have a focus on that, because not every kid's going to be the star athlete. You know, we want all the kids involved just to have a place to go and to have a team to be part of, and that's a huge focus this year on the track team. I know it's for all of our athletes. I know Coach Hall does it with football, and I know Leslie does with volleyball, Coach Ballish with basketball. It's huge. Julian, you can go across the board. Scottsbluff does a really good job of getting kids involved.
So your first meet is the Shattern meet on the 19th.
Shattern indoor, right?
Shattern indoor. And usually we end up having great weather on the indoor, and the next week it's horrible. So
it'll be 70 degrees outside during the indoor.
Yeah, that's always a practice meet for us. You know, it's hard to, you know, kind of gauge where your kids are at when they're running events that they are not going to really run. But it's a good way just to kick the season off and get kids involved.
I mean, you coached basketball.
Yep.
I mean, you've coached all kinds of things. You know, heading into a sport like track, do you kind of, the first couple, do you kind of look at them and be like, well, maybe that person probably shouldn't have been in this?
Oh, for sure. And we kind of use, like right now, we have some kids that we don't really know what they do. They don't really know what they do, and they're just kind of jumping from event to event at practice. And we kind of use Shattern in the first couple meets to figure that out. And if they're not seeing success, there's always an event in track that they can find success at. So that's kind of that's part of the deal. That
answered one of my questions, because I was kind of under the impression, you run fast, so let's do this, and but you do look at it like a kind of a script. You know, you're like, let's let's try them here. If it doesn't work out here, we'll move them
Yeah.
this way. And
Definitely. We just want them to be successful. You know, and sometimes everyone, a lot of kids want to be that fast 100-meter dash runner. You know, it's the shortest distance.
That was
It's
that guy.
pretty easy, but
yeah.
not everyone can be that person. So, you know, there's always the mid-distance and distance and field events and throws and pole vault. And we can always find something for a kid to do.
Let's look at the overall district right now. I mean, you kind of know what's going on around you as far as who's got what.
I think our district's insane. McCook on the girls' side is really, really good. And they have unbelievable athletes, and obviously Sydney's loaded again. They've got some really good athletes, and they do a good job up there in Sydney. Gary always has some strong competitors, and you know when we get to our district, we have Gothenburg showing up, and we have Mitchell's not in it this year, but they have been in the past. It's going to be last year. I can remember we had kids that placed 6th place in an event and still qualified because the competition
So
was
it was
that
deep,
good.
yeah.
It was deep. So, which is good. If you place or qualify out of our district, you have a good chance of placing or qualifying at the state meet.
Yeah, because I remember right now it's when only the top four were it seemed like top 4 were going.
Yeah, it's top 4, but we
Yeah.
had 6 going in an event because the next fastest times went. It was insane last year.
So, are there any new teams, any new schools in the district? I
No.
mean, did they realign any of the track? Because I know it's all different. I mean, like you said, Mitchell.
Right.
You know, Mitchell competes in Class B.
Yeah, no.
Track, golf, their golf and stuff like that.
It's pretty much the same. And you know, last year Sydney did a really good job, and McCook, you know, McCook and Sydney are usually the ones that have done pretty well the last couple of years, and that's kind of the kids that will be eyeing to compete against.
It kind of seems like alphabet soup anymore. I mean, you look at football is one thing, and track and field and golf are another thing, and basketball and wrestling are another thing. But so I mean, I can never keep up.
I mean, you were shocked that Fort Calhoun was.
Yeah, I was like, Fort Calhoun's wrestling in Class B? What? I
Yeah.
mean, I was just dumbfounded because when I was growing up, they were Class C or D.
Right, and the enrollment numbers for different sports, it's
exactly.
different. It's different, but yeah, it's okay. We'll take being at the top of B. That's okay for us. So
So you talked about the first meet. When is the first meet? When is the Shattered in?
it's
March-
not this weekend.
March
It's-
19th.
Yeah, March 19th. It's the
So-
next weekend.
When have you guys gotten any kind of? I mean, with the weather outside right now, have you guys gotten any kind of?
We're indoors all this week, and hopefully Monday we'll get back out. And we have a great facility at the high school with those long hallways and the wrestling room, and all the teams around here are doing the same thing. You just have to be kind of creative. And
Talk about long hallways makes me sick to my stomach. I'm just thinking about running halls.
it makes you feel like you're going fast.
Yeah, no doubt. But I used to run them in wrestling shoes, so
There you go.
that's a little tough. But I mean, you know, and we always kind of run into this every year. This time of spring, trying to get ready for spring sports, and it snows,
Yeah.
or there's a bomb cyclone, or there's something going on. So, you know, that shortens your time to get ready to go. So by that time, do you think? I mean, everybody's going to be a little bit
Yeah.
behind.
Yeah.
So how
And
do you think you guys are going to be going into that?
we know that we have some kids that are just coming off of season. Kids that are coming out of basketball, they're in shape. Those
Yeah.
kids. We have some kids that were not involved in a winter sport. They're gonna have a little bit longer to get in shape. But there's only so much you can do when you're indoors, and it's the same story every year. We'll have another couple snowstorms, and we'll be inside probably a good quarter of the season, and it's just what it is. You just have to kind of adapt and do the best you can.
Well, it makes you feel better as a mail carrier. I see kids out running all the time.
Yeah.
Just out. I mean, running around town.
Yeah.
So I mean, and it looks like they're training for something. So I mean, I don't think they're just like running away from.
Well, Coach Carazals with our distance kids does a phenomenal job. Those kids are always out running around all over the place. And I mean, I live over in Garion, and I know those Garion kids over there, they're out there running around all over the place. So there's kids around the area that have definitely been getting ready for the season.
All right. Well, here we are already. Track and field and spring sports getting ready to start game. So it just seems like we blinked and basketball season, wrestling season were over.
Maybe by the time Bridgeport's done, it's gonna be, next week is spring sports.
Well, yeah, we're still watching the Bridgeport girls at the state basketball tournament, but right now here in Scottsbluff, we are transitioning into track and field. So, Coach Burda, it was great having you tonight.
Thanks for having
Appreciate
me.
you coming in this cruddy weather outside, and be keeping an eye on the Scottsbluff girls and boys this year.
You
And
bet.
like always, it's, here we are.
Yeah. Thanks. You guys do a great job of covering us.
Well,
You
appreciate
do a
that.
phenomenal job, so we're kind of lucky that we have the media we do have in this area, so.
Is there anything that you wanted to add, like team-wise or anything?
No, we're just excited for the season to start, we're just excited, and there's a lot of unknowns, at this point in the season, we haven't had a lot of practices, and we have kids involved in DECA and
Yeah.
musical and all this stuff, so we're just trying to fill things out, see where they're at, and I think we'll end up seeing some success, so.
Well, if you're out and you can make it to a track meet, track and field meet, what home dates do we got?
Best of the West is April 26th.
Okay, Best of the West, April 26th.
We have a home meet, not the week after Shattern will be our first home meet. So that's a Friday meet. It'll be good.
So if you can make it out, come watch these kids, give them some support, check them out. If not, you can follow us at the Star-Herald here. We'll keep tabs on these kids and make sure that they get the credit that they're due.
Well, thank you again
You
for
bet.
joining us tonight.
Yep.
For more sports coverage, you can go to starherald.com or you can pick up a print edition wherever you can find one. And we will see you all next week.